meat burgers? What? What?
Number 10. The Corpse Collector. A Russian historian.
God, please don't be another one of those fuck-ass YouTubers that just be making these random-ass stories from AI or some shit. Did you guys hear about that? Like, a YouTube channel got terminated because every single video of, like, true, like, real crimes or some shit like that turns out all fake. It was just all AI generated, like, stories and shit of dark shit and whatever the hell, but they were just claiming it as real. It was so dumb. I knew something was wrong with that channel after watching one video. I was like, the fuck? I'm like, I don't see any information on the internet about what it's talking about. Like, what? It threw me off.
Was caught after robbing the graves of 29 young girls and then taking their corpses home, where he turned the bodies into dolls. Anatoly Moskvin, 53, also expressed no remorse about his activities and refused to apologize to the parents of the deceased girls, claiming, "You left them in the cold. I took them home to keep them warm." The mummified remains of the girls were covered in masks, and he dressed them and applied makeup to them as well. One of the stranger aspects of this case, and there are obviously many, Moskvin actually shared his home with his parents. His parents told authorities they had absolutely no idea that he was collecting bodies and turning them into giant dolls. They just thought the large dolls were part of an unusual hobby. During the days of the Soviet Union, Moskvin worked as a translator for military intelligence. He went on after the collapse of the Soviet Union to write history books. He had a deep comprehension of biology and apparently of cemeteries. Over the years, he dug up many corpses, brought them home, dressed them in clothing, and kept them preserved in his own house. He even celebrated their birthdays with macabre parties. The Corpse Collector was captured in 2011 when he confessed to 44 counts of abusing graves. He was moved to a mental institution, and as recently as 2020, there were discussions of releasing him as his schizophrenia was reportedly cured. The judge in the case overturned the appeal, and he remains in custody. Number 9.
Right, yeah, keep that nigga locked up. What the fuck? You go out your way to dig up graves just to turn their bodies into freaking dolls? It's actually creepy. What the fuck?
Killer. The Italian serial killer.
And by dolls, it could be any kind of doll. You know what I'm talking about. That's crazy, bro. That's weird. What the fuck?
Leonarda Cianciulli was born in 1894. She got married in the 1930s, opened up a little shop in the small town of Correggio, and started selling soap. Leonarda's shop may have been doing...
Sorry, I'm still creeped out by the other one.
But the rest of her life at the time was filled with strife. She served a short jail.
I'm sorry, I'm over here watching this at low screen. My bad.
Jail sentence.
I'm already hooked on this. We might as well just watch this one
Her
up.
home was destroyed in an earthquake, and she was constantly battling with her parents about her marriage, which they didn't approve of. Not only that, but Leonarda was experiencing major fertility issues. She'd been pregnant 17 times, but of the 17 children, 3 died due to miscarriage, and 10 died during early childhood. She became incredibly superstitious about her children, and also became more deeply interested in fortune-telling, palm reading, and tarot, a childhood interest of hers. It was during a meeting with another fortune teller who predicted her remaining 4 children would also die that she was told that the only way to prevent her still living children from dying was to start sacrificing people. Leonarda was frightened, but she didn't...
Who the fuck would believe that? Who the fuck would believe that? Dude, fortune tellers be talking out of their ass. Are you sure it was a fortune teller? Let's be honest. Are you sure it was a fortune teller? You probably just heard that from a random crackhead off the street. Like, there ain't no way in hell you would think that would work. I'm just... At that point, just adopt a kid. At that point, like I don't, bro. It's obvious something's wrong with you. Just adopt a kid at that point. Like 17 times, dude. Just give it up. Adopt a kid. Alright? Like, there's still some children that needs a home. You're still doing good justice doing it that way. Just adopt a kid. Whatever. I don't even know. I need water, bro. I can't with this shit. Like, if they're really serious on trying to have a kid so bad, and they just keep losing one after one after one and whatever, then just adopt a kid. But now I know this is talking about them to prevent the kids from dying, is to sacrifice people. When have you ever heard that before? No, that never works for nobody. Dude, I did not realize how thirsty I was till I drank a little bit of that water. I drank the entire water, bro. I drank the entire purified water. Yes, it's great value. It's not that serious.
Start the human sacrifices right away. However, in 1939, her son told her he was joining the military. This pushed Leonarda into action, and she began luring women back to her soap shop and killing them in an effort to keep her surviving children safe. How did she kill these women, and what did she do with them? That's the true horror of it. She first tricked the women into going into her shop by promising to tell their fortune or offering to help them find whatever they were looking for, including telling one victim she could help them find a husband. She drugged her victims with spiked wine, then she killed each woman with an axe and boiled their body in caustic soda. She then used her victims' flesh and fat to make soap that she sold in her store. She gave these bars of soap to her neighbors, her friends, and anyone who would pay for them. She also used some of her victims' fat to make cakes, which she ate. But her killing spree ended after just a third victim. A witness saw the victim going into her soap shop and then never coming out. When police went to it,
I said, in my head I was like, okay, thank God it's only just 3. But at the same time, I had to think about it. I'm like, damn, that's still fucked up. 3? Oh my God.
She confessed everything and was arrested.
Hell, 1 alone is terrible.
8. Food for workers. In the United Arab Emirates, a Moroccan woman went seriously off the deep end.
But yeah, I don't know why they didn't think that would happen. Like, like if someone ends up missing, they're gonna go try to find him.
2018, she suffered a fit of insanity in which she killed her boyfriend of 7 years and then cooked him. According to a report from the BBC, her boyfriend...
I'm sorry, what?
2018, Emirates, a Moroccan woman went seriously off the deep end. Back in 2018, she suffered a fit of insanity in which she killed her boyfriend of 7 years and then cooked him. According to a report from the BBC...
What's with y'all niggas cooking shit? You know another person that also cooks their victims? Let me think. Albert Fish. If you know, you probably got some Vietnam flashbacks, bro. I may save that for another video for real.
Her boyfriend had been planning on leaving her. He was actually planning to marry a different woman from Morocco, and this naturally upset the unnamed killer. Feeling like a thrown-away piece of trash, she murdered her boyfriend, cut him into pieces, ground up his flesh in a blender, and turned him into a traditional Moroccan dish with rice and vegetables. She then took the dish to some nearby Pakistani construction workers and watched them eat it. This part of the killing goes beyond unwarranted. The construction workers were made to eat a person without their knowledge and were likely completely horrified. Why she went to this extent of horror is beyond understanding.
Bruh.
It was the murdered boyfriend's brother who ended up solving the case. When he went looking for his missing sibling, he found a single tooth sitting in a blender in the woman's house. He phoned the police. DNA tests confirmed the tooth belonged to the victim, and she broke down and confessed. Last we heard, she was sent to a mental hospital. Number 7.
That's crazy. What the fuck?
When it comes to killers who made a career out of crafting things from the remains of their victims, Ed Gein holds the title of most creative. When the authorities raided Ed's house back in the 1950s, they found so much horror that it's hard to even describe. Ed had a fascination with decapitation, necrophilia, and arts and crafts. He started out as a fairly ordinary resident of Plainfield, Wisconsin, but when his mother died, he really went off the rails. He had been oddly obsessed with his mother and didn't seem able to process the fact that she was gone. In the mid-1950s, when Ed was alone and confused, residents of Plainfield began going missing. By 1957, the police had linked Ed to both Mary Hogan and Bernice Worden, both of whom had vanished. When the police went into Ed's house, they found suits, lampshades, and chairs made from human skin, masks made from people's faces, a belt crafted of human nipples, and several human organs stuffed into jars. Not only had Ed been killing multiple local women, he had also been digging up graves at the nearby cemetery, using the bodies of the recently deceased in his arts and crafts experiments. The man who is credited as being the inspiration for the killer Buffalo Bill in the movie Silence of the Lambs was later found guilty of murder and criminally insane. He died in captivity in 1984. Number 6. Old Lady Killer. Ed Gein may have been one of the most notorious serial murderers. But Juana Barraza Samperio is a criminal mastermind. She is currently spending the rest of her days locked up in the Santa Marta de Acatitla prison in Mexico. The reason for her incarceration? She killed at least 48 people. She's known as the Little Old Lady Killer. When still living on the outside, she spent her days selling popcorn and occasionally fighting in wrestling matches. The rest of her time, she was hunting and killing elderly women. According to the Mexican authorities, Juana killed nearly 50 people in Mexico City between the 1990s and January 25th, 2006.
Took y'all that long to find? Oh, bruh.
Only got caught when a neighbor witnessed her leaving the scene of a crime. Although the cops couldn't get evidence for every murder, they did manage to pin her in 17 of them. These 17 murders alone earned her 759 years in jail.
God.
It came out that Juana was a psychopath incapable of...
At that point, you might as... You know what? Can I say something? If they end up getting like 700 years in prison or some shit like that, something unhumanly, like, unhumanly... a non-human freaking sentence... Just put them on death row at that point. At that point, might as well just knock their lights out early. Cause there ain't no way. Like, how is it gonna survive 700 years, bro? Come on now. Like, just kill them at that point.
Feeling remorse.
She
actually thought she was helping society by getting rid of elderly women, likely because of the trauma she experienced in her own childhood. When Juana was just a young girl, her mother would trade her to dangerous men for things like beer and cash. When she grew up, she took that hate of her mother and transformed it into something evil, lashing out at older women, perhaps because they reminded her of her mother. And now for a serial killer, Santa. But first, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We have more true crime coming soon. Number 5. Serial killing Santa. Bruce MacArthur was seen on the outside as a happy man. Those that knew him described him as outgoing, friendly, and even jovial. He had white hair, a white beard, and played the perfect Santa Claus at the Agincourt Mall in Toronto as recently as 2016. He was a 66-year-old landscaper who posed as Santa during the holidays, and it seemed that he loved children. What no one knew was that Bruce had a bizarre attraction to the dead. Not only did he have an obsession with dead bodies, but he was also a serial killer. As a landscaper, Bruce used his cover to bury the bodies of his victims in his
with niggas obsessed with dead bodies?
He was simply creating beautiful landscapes. He was actually turning them into secret graveyards. Between 2010 and 2017, Bruce MacArthur murdered 8 men that we know of. His targets were the homeless, the destitute, and immigrants in the predominantly gay neighborhood of Church and Wellesley. Bruce's method of killing is what will really give you chills. Strangulation was his preferred method. He would wrap a rope around his victim's throat, then use a metal bar to tighten the ligature. Once his victim had stopped breathing, Bruce would then do a photo shoot. He would dress up his victims in things like fur coats, sometimes positioning them as if still alive, with one victim even photographed with a cigar hanging out of his mouth. When Bruce was finally caught by the police, authorities in Toronto had to check out 75 properties in search of remains. Bruce had concealed many victims in the planters and gardens he had worked on as a landscaper. How do you think you'd react if the police told you they needed to inspect your yard for human remains? Let me know in the comments below.
Bro.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
I'll be like, go at it. I don't.
Number 4. The Torso Murders.
I don't know.
From 1935 to 1938, between 12 and 13 bodies were found dumped in Cleveland's Kingsbury Run. The area is a creek bed that runs through the city down to the Cuyahoga River. The victims included at least 7 men and 5 women, most of whom were unhoused or sex workers. These unfortunate people were living far below the poverty line in the days when Cleveland was still suffering from the impacts of the Great Depression. Most of the individuals weren't reported missing for months after their disappearances, sometimes not even until their bodies were found. What makes these murders especially disturbing was the fact that every single body was found without a head or limbs. The only parts of the remains that turned up were the torsos of the victims. After over 80 years, this is still the most gruesome crime spree in the history of Cleveland. The killer is known today as the Mad Butcher of Kingsbury Run, and believe it or not, he or she has never been identified by the police. The killings only stopped when the killer presumably lost interest, moved, or died. Even years after the torsos stopped turning up, authorities still were unable to locate all the heads. To this day, no one knows what the Mad Butcher did with the heads and the limbs.
Insane. Did they even find out? I don't even know. Like, what the bodies they have? Can they still find out whose body is it? Or just imagine that. That's some dark shit. Imagine you die and no one fucking knows about it. Like, it's just, what the fuck?
Of their victims. Number 3. The Bone Collector. In Mexico, authorities recently discovered approximately 3,787 bone fragments.
POV cave divers. Y'all gotta stop doing that shit, bro. I swear. Like, I should do a video just reacting to cave divers. I swear to God, I don't know what is with them, bro. Like,
belong to at least 17 different murder victims. The killer in this story was a bone collector. He had a fascination with killing and dismembering. The Mexican authorities have not been able to release his identity, but they do say that by the time they caught up to him, he was 72 years old. The cops actually arrested this serial murderer in connection with the killing of a 34-year-old woman whom he reportedly cut up with a hacksaw. It was when they began looking at his home that they discovered the true scope of his crimes. During careful excavations, the police found the bones and bone fragments, as well as 91 photographs, 8 cell phones, a bucket full of women's jewelry, and actual videotape of the man murdering his victims. He had been dismembering his victims, cutting them up so small that he had pieces of them hidden all throughout his house. The police were shocked and horrified when they realized the extent of the crime scene. As of right now, the police are still trying to extract DNA from the bone fragments to identify the victims, many of which are probably missing people. In the meantime, the identity of this prolific serial murderer has still not been released. Number 2. Human burglars.
I just hope he's dealt with. They probably killed his ass.
Jeffrey Dahmer and John Wayne Gacy was a truly gruesome killer. But for some strange reason, despite the horror of his crimes, he is not as well known. If you're one of those people who haven't heard of him, get ready to be shocked. Joe was arrested in Baltimore back in December of 1996. At the time, police knew he was responsible for at least 3 murders. But after he was convicted of these murders, he finally spilled the beans that he killed at least 10 people. He also admitted that he was a cannibal and that he served his victims to unsuspecting patrons of his burger stand. He would take the meat from people he killed and mix it with pork or beef, or simply use it as it was.
That's
shockingly
insane.
enough, Joe told the authorities that not a single person could seem to taste the difference between regular burgers and those made with his victims. Joe was given several life sentences to be served continuously and without the possibility of parole. Since his arrest, however, he has repeatedly begged for the death sentence. In an interview, Joe told the press that the only thing he regrets about his killing spree is that he was caught before he had the opportunity to kill the 2 people he really wanted, his ex-girlfriend and the guy she replaced him with. Number 1.
That's
Boyfriend
crazy, bro.
stew. Catherine Knight killed her boyfriend and then turned him into a stew. For this bizarre crime, she became the first Australian woman to receive a life sentence without parole. The terrible murder came after a lifetime of toxic relationships. Catherine's life and relationships were plagued with abuse, violence, and frightening fits of temper. In 1995, she moved in with John Price, the man who she would eventually murder. According to friends and family, she had wanted to marry him, but John declined. When he refused to get married, Catherine turned violent. In 2000, the pair
Disrespect his
argued, and
wishes.
Catherine
You
tried
probably
to
just
stab him in
don't
the chest.
think
Price
he's
had to
ready
get a
yet.
restraining order against her, but they
Shit.
later reconciled. Price, however, would not let Knight move back into the home in order to protect his 2 older children. On February 29, 2000, she let herself into John's house, seduced him in the middle of the night, and once he was asleep, she stabbed him 37 times. Catherine then went downstairs, dragging his body behind her. She hung him from a meat hook in the living room, one of the tools of her trade as a butcher, removed his head, then cooked up a meal using his body, along with potato and pumpkin, some squash, and a bit of gravy that she intended to later serve to John's children. After Catherine finished cooking her lover, she took John's headless body and lay down with it in bed. She swallowed a whole bunch of pills and fell asleep. When the police arrived the next morning at the behest of John's co-workers, who were worried because he didn't show up to work, they found Catherine covered in blood, John's body, and the remnants of her macabre meal. She claimed to have no memory of what she had done, but was charged and convicted of murder nonetheless. Thanks for watching. Everybody be careful out there. You never know where a killer might be lurking. Be sure to subscribe and come back soon for more amazing true crime stories.
I hope. Well, matter of fact, I take that back. I hope these are not true crime stories. Yo, I don't know. Everything seems specific, so I don't. The fact is, there's no intro immediately earned us. Yeah, you know, I just thought about there was no intro. You know, I thought about that. How would you guys like if I start making videos with just no intro? How would that be? I have no idea. I just find it kind of rude to start the video off just immediately straight to the video instead of, like, you know, asking how's things going, you know, how are y'all, I hope you guys doing fine, you know, stuff like that. I tend to like to make my intros like that. But yeah, fire video. Holy shit, damn, I'm going back to bed. I am not woke yet, but damn, that was... I am lost right now. Yo, I am creeped out, bro. I'm going to bed, y'all. I'm not woke yet. I'm sorry. Later on, I gotta make a reaction video to something funny. Let's mix this up, you know, shake this up, because my goodness, this one was crazy. I will go to bed for at least 2 hours or 3 hours. 3 hours. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, this one was... I seriously have no words. Like, why is most of them just really into dismembering people? Like, if y'all don't buy yourselves an Oculus, like, why is y'all bro, play Bone Lab, play Blade and Sorcery. Like, there's so many other games. Like, there is games that you can play that's, you know, blood and gory and shit. Like golly, bro, why hurt actual innocent lives? And plus, some of these seems like they ain't taking rejections very well. Like one with his ex or something like that. They wanted to turn them into burgers or something like that. What was that about, bro? Come on, bro. That is just weird. I don't know, but rest in peace to the people, bro. Cause fucking hell, that is just insane. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to bed now. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. I have no words, man.